Welcome to Wake Up Canada News. I'm Brad Wilder. Today, a very special guest on the program, Dr. Ann Gillies PHD, who's received her call to ministry during a turbulent time back in 1982. Her call and passion for ministry came from Isaiah 61. Ann is trained jointly in professional counseling and theology, earning a PhD in philosophy and professional counseling from Liberty University with a primary focus in attachment theory, complex trauma, sexuality, and spirituality. Her research revolves around, adult attachment, same-sex attraction, gender dysphoria, and the current controversy regarding conversion therapy. Ann retired after 25 years of counseling, primarily with individuals struggling with complex trauma and attachment disorders. She also is an international speaker, author, and founder of Restoring the Mosaic, an organization seeking to educate and inform politicians, community leaders, and pastors throughout research and conferences. Dr. Ann, it is so great to have you in the studio. We've been communicating now for the past 3 or 4 years through another friend of ours, John Euler, on Unmasking the Trans Movement, where we discuss the ideology. And, you bring a wealth of knowledge every time you're on the program, not only there, but I brought you here today so that we could, educate Canadians on what's really happening in this country in a way that doesn't get us in trouble, because we know that there are new laws in place, stopping us from, having free speech in a sense is what some are calling it. But at the same time, it's just blocking common sense and rationality, things like morals, ethics, thrown out the window, and so many troubling issues that we're bombarded with. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to explain to Canadians what's going on. Right. And how do we get here, and where are we going with all of this deviance? Because we have people being arrested across this country now, from child pornography charges to sexual deviant individuals committing rape and sexual assault on children. It's really sickening, and it needs to be addressed. So where do we go? How do we do?
Well, first of all, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. It's just great.
And this is the first time we've actually met in person after all these years.
That's right.
It's wonderful to be here and wonderful to be in the studio. So, where are we going? Well, we have to know where we're going, Brad, we have to back up. And we have to look at how did we get here. And so as we were talking earlier, I said, I think we need to go back and look at some writings, some things going back to 1987. So this will mostly shock a lot of people, but I put this in my book, Closing the Floodgates. And I thought, if you like, I can read a few things there, because I want to set some groundwork, if you like, to help people understand how this has come about, and how we're seeing such a proliferation of sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, particularly pedophilia, child sex trafficking. We never heard about most of these things 30 years ago. I mean, you just hardly heard of them, and people will say, well, we're more open society, we know more. Well, that's true enough in one sense, but on the other hand, let's look at kind of what the foundation that was laid, and look at the total upheaval of acceptance for some types of behavior that leads then into an education of our children for the last 20 or 30 years. And
there's been a lot of deviance going on within the schools itself, from extortion to coercion to intimidation to bullying, all criminal elements. But at the same time, they don't recognize that criminality to any of it for some reason.
No. Well, so I think if I take this and just read this comes out of the Homosexual Manifesto, authored by Marshall Kirk, and I think it's Marshall Kirk and Michael Swift in 1987. Mm-hmm. So this is quite a few years ago. Right. Let me read. This is a quote from their manifesto. "We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies. We shall seduce them in our schools, in your schools, on your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your truck stops, in your all-male clubs, in your houses of Congress, wherever men are with men together, your sons shall become our minions and do our bidding. They will be recast in our image. So this is not me speaking. These are two homosexual men who had great influence within the community, but also within government. And their gay rights platform became an accepted platform, so to speak, within governmental and societal spheres.
So this has nothing to do with the DSM-5 then, does it?
No.
That's a different book altogether.
Oh yeah, this is the Homosexual Manifesto. So, let me read just a little more, and then we'll talk about this. All laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. So when you think back to 1987 and where we are now, all these things have happened. So, and these authors years ago kept claiming, "Oh, this is just."
Fiction?
Satire. This is just satire. We don't really mean it. Well, as I read these things to you...
Well, it's pretty sick and dark satire. It sounds like it's just right in plan with what they're thinking.
It was
right?
planned. This has been a strategic plan, Brad. And what most people don't understand is the depth of the strategy and the years of planning that went into this to get us to where we are now.
Decades, right?
Yep. So all laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. And then I'm going to go down to here. We are everywhere. We have infiltrated your ranks. Oh, my goodness. Don't we worship now?
It's an invasion.
We have to celebrate everything LGBTQ. And then they said, and further, those who oppose us will be vilified. Oh, my goodness. Have you been vilified, Brad?
Oh, many times.
And I just got another hate letter this morning.
Every day.
Every day. The family unit. So the unit on which society actually has been established and prospered for millennial has been eradicated. It's being eradicated. Because it only dampens imagination and curbs free will. See, what we want to see, what they wanted to see is a free-for-all sexually, right? These units must be eliminated. All churches who condemn us will be closed. Our gods, our only gods, are handsome young men. Wow. And then we are free to live our lives according to the dictates of our pure imagination. For us, too much is not enough. So I want you to remember those words. Too much is not enough. And that's what we're seeing today, Brad.
There's a song, Too Much Is Not Enough. I remember it.
Yeah, and so when you have a manifesto like this, and I'm not talking about the average gay, lesbian, bisexual, or even transsexual, it used to be called, now transgender, which is not a medical term, but
correct.
We won't go into that. But I'm not condemning particularly someone's personal choices as an adult. They get to do what they want to do. But what people need to understand, Brad, is this has been a determined strategy to disrupt society and to actually queer society, to take everything that is normal and turn it on its head.
So we flipped the script.
Oh, that's it. That's a good term.
Flip the script. Yeah, that's my term.
We have literally flipped the script, not only in Canada, Brad, but around the world.
And people might not recognize this. We talk about this on Unmasking the Trans Movement a lot with John Euler, and that's how they deviantly flipped the meanings of words and the definition of the word, the language of it all. Lee, I'm trying to remember his name now, but we had a guest on.
Phil Lee.
No.
Oh, no. Okay, someone else. Sorry.
A different individual. But anyway, we had him on the show. You can look up that episode. But brilliant, because he showed how the script was flipped. And once you see it, there's no looking back. You go, wow, they've been making me think that this is okay through changing the definition, which in turn has led people to a lot of confusion.
Oh, terrible. And we have the most confused society that we've ever had. We have been confusing our children, and we talk a lot about this on the Unmasking the Trans movement. In our education system, when you tell a child that they could be born in the wrong body, what that does psychologically and emotionally to that child is disrupt normalcy, number one, and they begin to question everything, because it's so innate. Who we are biologically is innate within our whole being, and it now is up for grabs. It's like now we have to describe ourselves. We need a pronoun. Because we won't fit any other way within the system.
Well, they didn't before. They didn't before they had pronouns, and they still don't fit now. So they're still out of place. I mean, this is a mental health issue. We talk about that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. But I was talking just about the average child getting confused, right?
Right.
And leading to, so what we're seeing is now this proliferation of LGBTQ, and what I think one of the latest stats I was reading is that nearly 50% of children are now identifying as something other than heterosexual.
Only because they've been told that that's okay and acceptable, right?
Well, and because this is where
and
the
they're playing along into it too. These kids, they don't know any better, but ultimately they're going along with the flow.
They're going along with it because it's what they're being taught, but also because no one's standing up and telling them the truth. And parents are intimidated into silence,
That's right? That's right.
They've been intimidated into silence, and then the long run is that we're getting after 4 or 5 decades of this, we're starting to see the repercussions in the sexual behavior of adults. And man, we are seeing such repercussions that are it's just creating such deep pain in my heart and for the hearts of those individuals who are victimized.
Absolutely, and it's a tough go. It's being really exposed in our schools. The education system is where the deviance is really getting into your child's mind, because they have 8 hours a day to work with your kids, and as a parent, you're sitting at home and you don't even know what they're talking about. You don't realize that math and English have now turned to LGBTQ hour. And
it's not just
that's concerning.
1 hour. It's subtly, and not so subtly sometimes, weaved into every single class, right? In some way. And then you have a teacher like this showing up, obviously male, but looking perhaps or claiming to be female, we don't know, but certainly is educating or, well, let's say indoctrinating a child.
Indoctrinating, yeah.
Yeah. So we have all of that background, and I have a lot more in that book, Closing the Floodgates, that I think is really important. It's all, I think there's over 640 academic references in that book. It's not just my thoughts. So we need to understand, we need to have the research, but we need to have the common sense, as you said, to look at this very critically. And then let's layer on top of that what we know now about the UN.
Correct.
And so with the UN and what's happening there, this is how strategic this has been for decades. We have sustainable development goals, and you're saying, well, some of those are really good. I think that's helpful for society. And and this is the same with language and everything that we're being taught, either our children in a classroom or for adults through the media. There's enough truth to make it palatable so that you will swallow the whole thing, lock, stock, and barrel.
So in the sustainable development goals that you were just discussing, this is all done in advance, put into documentation. They've been saying it for a while. It's just people don't recognize and see it. They're too busy with their daily lives, moving on and doing what they normally do. But this is something that's very troubling. This is something that's put out by the United Nations as well as the World Economic Forum. It's all tied together. These are the individuals who are being deviant at this point, not to mention the DSM-5 with the LGBTQ crisis. But this all does come back to depopulation and a bunch of other issues that we can talk about. So as we see where we're at with, I guess, a lot more has come out. We're starting to see a lot of arrests. We're starting to see people being called out, people being challenged, people being accused.
Well, we are seeing those things, but we're also seeing a lot of cover-up of those very things in the mainstream media, or lack of coverage, so to speak. But let me go back to the
lack
goals.
of coverage is the good one, because the media just doesn't want to touch on this subject.
When you look at this chart, Brad, the sustainable development goals, if you go to the green one up in the top with the
squiggly?
with the heart,
the heart.
physical heart,
right
and
here.
then the heart.
Yeah. Oh, like a heart attack.
That's we won't go there. But I want to talk about that, because that's goal 3, and that's where this whole area of education comes under. So it's really important for people to understand, because now we're taking things that were constructed, socially constructed by groups of people throughout decades, and now applying them to our children. And so goal 3, let me read this to you. It's a good health and well-being goal. So that sounds excellent. Who wouldn't want good health and well-being? And I'll read this to you. And just talking about language, as you were, Brad, you begin to understand a little bit more. Here's what they say. It's target 3.7, calling for universal access to sexual and reproductive health services, including family planning, information and education, and integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. Wow, that's a mouthful. What do you think that means? Give it your best shot, because people, just the average person is saying, "Well, that sounds okay."
They always think it sounds okay. They've made this so just.
But you have been researching and come to some understanding.
Oh, absolutely.
What's this sound like to you?
Well, it sounds like propaganda and a bunch of ways to manipulate young people, or anyone in that, for that matter, to join their force. This is a cult. This is a force. This is something that is growing by the day. And unfortunately, that subliminal messaging is done very creatively. They didn't do this without thinking it through first. They've got it well organized. And I get a message of, I don't want to listen anymore because I don't want to try to figure that crap out. And you walk away from it.
So let me explain this, because it's all in the wording. So let me read this again. Universal access to sexual and reproductive health healthcare services, including family planning, information and education, the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. Let me explain this. Reproductive health is all about teaching children about abortion. It's all about, how to, number one, it's they want to teach children in, early grades about taking the pill, about, the proper use of condoms and all of those things. But then they teach children, I think it's grade 3 or 4, they start teaching them about abortion.
Used to be you learned about STDs and things like that. Now they just want you doing it all the time.
Well, it's open. And you see, there is a real push toward aborting babies, which fits into the sustainable development goals of depopulation. If we are going to go from...
You can do it, but we're going to take it away after, because you shouldn't have it and it's just not right. So, but, if it happens, we'll fix it for you. That's a government talking. And when has a government everybody fixed anyone?
Well, the whole point is it's taking away individual responsibility. If you have sex, guess what?
Comes with a lot of responsibility, doesn't it?
You might get pregnant, and for the females and the male, and so you used.
Well, let me just tell you, it goes affected. It's not unaffected.
And you know what? So this way, we'll just annihilate it. We'll annihilate. It's all about the annihilation of humanity. At the bottom line, we want to go from 8 billion people,
9 billion to 1.
To 1 billion.
They're saying, 9 to 1.
And 2030 or 2050?
Yeah, by 2050. But again, that number, they still want to see 2 or 3 down by 2030. So that's like 5 years. What's going on?
So this is all about annihilation of humanity. The sustainable development is about killing people, long and short. So that's why it's crucial to have good health and well-being addressed. And it's under this reproductive health care services, including family planning. So they want to teach children all of those things. And then they want to do it not just nationally, but internationally. So this is really strategic.
Yeah, they want to teach those people their way, not let them think for themselves. And that's where the issue comes in. It's tyranny, it's corruption at its highest level, and it's deviant.
Well, and it's sold as a humanitarian.
It's the best thing in the world for the planet, and you better get along with it.
Yes.
But this is so misguided; it's unbelievable.
But it's really meant to decentralize power and to really have that power under a whole global influence, so that there's one global influence.
The confidence level of man will be sucked down into the depths because of this, because you will not be able to make choice. You will not have fair reasoning. You will not. You'll be told everything, just like they did in China.
Well, and the goal is to promote surrender to national sovereignty, that there will be no sovereign nations,
right,
and that there will be only individual freedoms to the UN. So this is scary. People aren't taking this very seriously, but Goal 3.7 wants to have access to sexual and reproductive education for all ages of children.
Now, they're talking not only about changing the sex ed of education, but they're also talking about changing education in general. So this all ties in as well with their ideology. They're going to present this to the kids in a way that I guess they're no longer going to school. They'll be online. They'll be seeing the propaganda that they've been told to see, and they're going to learn whatever the government funnels into their heads. And unfortunately, they cut off the internet. They cut off any source of media, which Justin Trudeau has plainly done before he stepped aside.
Well, we're looking at the hate speech bill, right? We can't talk about this stuff.
C2.
Well, let me go on from the sustainable development. So we've been talking about the UN. Well, let's talk about UNESCO. And so that is, UNESCO. It is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization that has created then comprehensive sex education. And the topics that comprehensive sex education really goes through and wants to identify and to really push on families, not just children, but families, young people. They want to talk, and this sounds really good, right? Want to talk about families and relationships, but that sounds really good, but they're asking children about the relationships of their parents in the home, very personal things that should never be talked about in a classroom. They talk about respect, but they don't respect boundaries, individual boundaries. Talk about consent and bodily autonomy. Well, children cannot consent to things that they don't understand. And really, the age of consent, is for adults. When is a child really at an age when they can consent, let's say to medicalization, to be put on puberty blockers or hormones? We are, and in fact, they don't use consent forms. The doctors don't get consent. They just, tell the parents, do you want a dead son or a live daughter? Because you need to go along and affirm this child in what their thoughts are. And it's a mental state of mind. They're having some mental health issues. In fact, statistically, these children, gender dysphoric children, have approximately 3 underlying mental health issues long before they start getting the idea that they could be born in the wrong body. And those thoughts are just put in their minds by teachers, social media, their friends. So all of those things. So, this idea that the topics are good, it sounds good. Autonomy, puberty, they're going to teach children at young ages where they can't even comprehend what's being talked about. Like 5-year-olds, Brad, 5-year-olds.
Exactly. Yep.
And they do talk about sexually transmitted They're called infections. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that. Now
Yeah.
it's an infection, not a
Yeah.
sexually
Well,
transmitted
that's
disease.
part of the manipulation.
Is that
of the
because they
language.
can't make a vaccine to fix the disease?
Yeah, because these sexually transmitted diseases, let's call it what it is, are not treatable. They're
Right.
lifelong.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're calling them infections, which gives the idea that, well, you just take a pill and you'll be better. Well, you might alleviate some of the symptoms, but you will not cure the disease. And we need to be talking truth here. So that's kind of some of the background of that. So how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm
You asked
feeling.
for it.
I'm feeling as though the world is messed up, and that we've got to somehow get this back on track. The U.S. has made positive steps. The U.S. has seen a lot of things that have happened in the last month or 4 weeks that, again, John Euler's been part of and made
Yeah.
change. He started with a connection to South Dakota's state governor, and that led to a document that was written that transferred into Florida and a couple
Yeah.
of other states. And that's now Donald Trump's position. He's stopping all of this nonsense. And mental health is going to be the topic of the day very shortly. Right now, he's just trying to clean up the deviants that are still left in the country from not only pedophiles and rapists and child
Well,
just
sex trafficking.
the whole thing.
All of that, yes.
But also the individuals that aren't supposed to be there that are committing these crimes. We've got an illegal immigration problem not only in the U.S. but here in Canada too.
Yes.
They don't want us
Well-
to call them illegal immigrants, but they are.
But let me throw,
Undocumented, unvetted.
let me throw something else into the mix. My husband and I were talking about this just a couple days ago. You know, since the late 40s, you know, we didn't have drug issues.
Right, that's right.
We didn't have fentanyl. We didn't have
It
heroin.
was kept in the home. It was very underground. It wasn't like, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
the
but
hippies
it's
showed
like
up in the
now.
70s. It's not
It
like
is
now.
like now.
No.
I mean, was there heroin and cocaine? Yes, but it wasn't like this was a national crisis, which it is. And we need to name that because drugs are actually, and drug use and drug addicts are often at the very root of all of the kind of criminal activities that you see
That's right.
happening.
And
So rape, people who are high, and they lose the capability of even knowing what they're doing. That doesn't make them innocent. It just begins to say, well, why are we not in Canada addressing the drug crisis? And so when Trump was elected, that's what he asked for, right? And we're still skirting it out. You know, we had
We
injections.
have a real fentanyl problem here, a real fentanyl
Oh.
production problem in Canada,
Oh,
especially in the
terrible.
West Coast, and that's you know, transitioning right down to the U.S., which is what he's concerned about. And for Americans to
Yep.
stand up and say that's enough, that should be a big step. Mark Carney should be all over that, saying I'm going to oblige, I'm going to obey, and I'm going to do what's needed to make our Canadian citizens safe.
But listen, why would they? If he is part of the UN.
Well, but that's what they talk about right here. It's all about safety.
I know, but it's just that's the twisting of the language.
That's right.
Because remember, let's go back to annihilation. How better to annihilate individuals than get them hooked on drugs
Substances.
and fentanyl, right? And then
That's why there's a liquor store in every corner too, right?
yeah,
Drugstore
absolutely,
and liquor stores.
absolutely keep them well, and pot, keep them high,
Yep.
keep them drunk, get them addicted, and then if they don't kill themselves, we offer MAID, right?
Yeah.
Medically assisted death. This is the whole agenda is about the annihilation of humanity.
That's
And remember, Mark Carney is kind of very connected to the WHO and to
Mark
the Climate Accord
Carney.
and all those things. So, hey, he's not about to jump on the bandwagon to get rid of all this stuff. Oh, yeah.
Well, sure he is. Look at this guy. He's never going to get rid of it. He loves every minute of it. These are his pals, his best buddies. They get the things done in Canada that need to be done to save us all. Look at that.
Well,
This
and
just makes me
see what we're
sick.
doing to our children. This kind of, it used to be an indictable offense,
That's right.
you know, to parade around near naked on the street. It's vulgar. It's insulting. Put some clothes on. I actually
Have
go
some
to,
decency
sometimes I
and
go to the
respect.
beach, and this tells you how old I'm getting, because I go to the beach and I'm thinking, Oh, please, just put something over that. Who needs to see all that? Like, we have lost all sense, and people will go, oh, she is so out to lunch. We've lost all sense of pride about our body, like, and all sense of morality. It's all part of this, and all sense of this identity and the preciousness of human sexuality. We've
Right.
lost it all, and the preciousness of marriage, which is another whole issue that.
So have we? Let me ask you: have we lost it, or have we misplaced it? Because America lost it too, is what we would have said a month
Yes.
ago, and all of a sudden, the Sydney commercials with the jeans and everything starts to
Oh,
take off, and Bud Light's out, and the hot Camaro's in, or the Charger with the girl and the nice denim jeans, and using her hands properly as she's walking away, just to kind of make those jeans look a little better.
So we're accentuating sexuality.
We're going from
in
one
another.
place to another.
I know.
And
But
but it's not deviant in
It's
that
not-
regard, right?
It's not.
It's entertainment,
dead.
isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's a fine line,
Well,
right?
there's a fine
And so
line
how do you-
between looking good and looking bad. And
well,
we've
there's
got
a fine line between, kind of, and how fine is the line?
Here's
Looking
a
good.
woman who thinks she looks good.
This isn't a woman.
Well, I know that, but she
And
doesn't.
That's why when we talk about language and we talk about individuals, this is a man portraying himself
That's
in
right.
drag as a woman. And now we have these
It's a fantasy
individuals,
land.
drag queens, yes, going into our schools.
Churches, libraries, other community
so
clubs.
how else would you confuse a young society? A man in a beard. This guy has shaven his beard off. How lovely. But, in front of small children. And I see some of those. And so because the parents have been so indoctrinated, like look at the age of the people here.
That's right.
Because they've been so indoctrinated themselves, their children are like totally okay with this. They take their children to these things. And we have a society that needs to be turned up on its head again. And it's only by people speaking the truth that will happen.
It's kind of funny. If you look back here at Dr. Ann, you'll see a couple of guys behind Mark Carney there.
I was looking at them,
and those two guys, you'd think that they'd have a little more decency and respect for themselves, even though they're getting paid to do that job of protection.
They're security, right? They're protection.
They're protection, but at the same time, would you take the check or would you walk away if you had to deal with that? I would walk away.
Well, and that's,
I'm not open to doing this job today. I'm not going to do it. I'm going home.
Fire
Forget
me.
it, right? Yeah.
But I don't think, that maybe they're taught to look stern all the time. I don't think they're overly happy with it. But, if you have any sense of moral conviction, you wouldn't be happy with this. But anyways, so that's kind of where we're at in the society that we have. And if we don't start as parents, and I would challenge churches, because I come from a Christian foundation, I have seen the stuff happening in churches, and churches embracing this whole idea of celebrating any kind of deviancy, which is, from a biblical perspective, absolutely wrong. Mm-hmm. And so we've had, and what the manifesto said, we will shut down the churches, right? We're going to make them look evil. People who have conviction and have morals, that this group is going to make us look like idiots and to instill fear, which it has done.
Christians need to stop looking weak.
Oh, are you kidding
Period.
me? Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. That's a 100% fact.
And they need to deal with their own ranks. What's going on in the churches, whether it's Catholic or Protestant churches?
From the deacon all the way down to the
absolutely.
Pope and every single minister out there. I
Every
agree.
pastor that has...
They all need to be vetted again.
Yes. And they need to have, I believe...
Lie detector vetting.
I think they should have a psychological
100%.
Before they ever... while they're in Bible college or whatever. And now that doesn't always pick everything up, though.
No, of course
but
not.
we need to be more vigilant, and the churches need to start reporting, and some do, and some just keep I mean, we're still sweeping stuff under the rug, for goodness sakes.
Yes.
What kind of
And
Christianity is this?
We have good ladies sitting at those reception desks at those churches who are still making wrong decisions, no different than the two security guys you saw in the picture a second ago.
Well,
they're taking the paycheck and they're calling it a day, and they don't care about the morals or the ethics. Their deviance is no different than the person committing the rape or the crime.
Well, I think it's a little different. I do.
You do?
I
think they're complicit in it. They're allowing it, and they're actually appeasing that attitude and
if they know about it. I mean, there's a lot that's
there's a lot that
behind.
know about it. There's
Yeah.
a lot that know about it, and we know that. We know that there's internal conflict there between individuals from
Yep.
congregations all across this country and throughout North America
Well,
and around
this is
the
what
world.
happened in my first marriage, is that the church never challenged my former husband, who was involved in homosexual behavior, and then he graduated from Bible college, and they knew what he was doing.
Oh, wow.
They knew, and it
sorry
totally
to hear that.
against everything they stood for. But anyways, I'm not going to go into all
Now
of that
I know why
now.
you talk about this with us, because you have your history is there, right?
My history, and that's not the worst of it, because I mean, I was, when you say complicit, I was so naive. I was absolutely, I kind of believed that we should forgive people and give them the opportunity to change.
Yeah, there's a lot of trans widows that say that.
Yeah.
Isn't
And that's and so, but I stayed in the marriage far too long, and after I divorced, and then it was years later when I remarried, my son, one of my sons, came to me and told me
Right.
that his father had been raping him, his father and his father's boyfriends. So this deviancy is very deep, and yeah, that's why I fight like I do, because I want
You've
to
seen the
protect
harm.
kids. I didn't protect my own, and I didn't know, honestly. I mean, I just always thought you should be able to trust the person you marry.
It's not a level of guilt, it's a level of anger, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a level of, I mean, for me, it was guilt first, and now it's just I'm passionate about exposing these people,
Yeah.
because this is what's happening on our watch to our children. And
That's
if
what
we
I-
don't do this, who's going to do it? Who's
That's
going to
exactly
do it?
why I do what I do
Yep.
and you do what you do. I get that, and we've been doing this for a while for that specific reason. And if we didn't, I don't know that the message would get out there. There's only a select handful of us who will talk about this particular topic and get into it. A lot of them are worried that they're going to end up in jail.
Exactly. But, so here we have the church, which needs the... I'm
Cleansing?
talking about the whole church.
Cleansing.
Good word. It needs a cleansing, and they need some come to Jesus
And it's not with
moments,
sage.
let me tell you.
It's not with sage. It's going to be with something harder than that.
And there is a cleansing going on, I believe that. But then we have, so there's grooming there. There's grooming also in the classroom with our children, because what is happening is children are being abused in our classrooms, because when you show children pornographic images, graphics of sexual acts, you're showing this to young children. It's atrocious. It's a criminal offense, and
Yeah.
we're letting it happen.
You're stimulating their minds in a way that should not be stimulated by anyone except they're somebody that they really want to be with in that
Yeah,
regard.
when
And
they are
there's
old enough, not-
you can't tell me that a kid who's 5 or 7 or 12 years old wants to be with that adult, that disgusting, gross pig.
And they don't need to know all the details of having sex.
That's right.
Let's keep some things innocent. Let's keep children innocent. Keep them children, let kids be kids, and let them grow up. And then as they mature, so much of what's being taught doesn't need to be taught, for one thing. And so much of it is actual deviance now. And, they'll figure some things out along the way.
So the government is really a key role here in this deviance.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from a higher level. They call them stakeholders when we get into things like
Yep.
the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. We have our own stakeholders here as well, and I want to bring that to light because I don't think we talk about our own stakeholders, which are parents. You have to be a parent still. You have to act like a parent still. You still have to do parental things, and you
Yes.
have to communicate with your kids on a regular basis. So I said government starts it at the top, and they're the ones ultimately driving that messaging.
Since 1987,
Right,
particularly
yeah.
from that, yeah.
So as that's changed and evolved, here we are, 2025, not an Islamic state yet, and I say yet carefully, but the point is that we are seeing Islam moving into Canada as well as other
Radical.
countries. Yeah, radical. That's
Islam,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
disgusting radical Islam. That's correct. You've got Nigerians, Somalians. They're all coming here. So as they do that, the Canadian government now is offering 12 months of income to LGBTQ refugees. Again, throwing more money at a mental health issue that is troubling to say the least.
And what constitutes a refugee? You know, are they being persecuted in their
Do you think they
country
woke up today and said, I'm going to move to Canada and I'm going to go to Winnipeg or I'm going to go to Hamilton? They don't think like that. They're coerced from the get-go. We're going to move you out of here. You have a chance to go to Canada, yes or no. And they'll say, oh, okay, let's go.
Well, and who wouldn't want to come to Canada?
Well, I
Although
agree.
Canada now has changed so much. So anyways.
And I've heard from lots of Muslims and Islamics and East Indians and Pakistanians who have all come to the studio and had discussions with me about
the
that. And
normal route of immigration.
that's what they've taken. And they're complaining about the illegals that are here now. They can't get jobs because they're being overrun by the ones who are just getting into the country.
And who are paid to be here.
And wait, because this Islamic thing with LGBTQ doesn't make sense to me. They're not that way. But here we are. Are they embracing it because they know the deviance that it's causing to the white man? What's going on here?
Well, and I can't answer all those questions, but I'm telling you that, I mean, if someone wants to study Islam, I mean, there are definite repercussions for practicing homosexuality within
that religion,
yeah.
that culture. That's
like,
correct.
It's a different than for Christians. I mean, we kind of have this, well, live and let live, but most, I would say not most churches anymore, 50 years ago, most churches would have said, you know, you leave that life behind when you come and accept Christ. Like, there's a difference. Now
Sure.
you're a new creation, and so how do you do that? How do you leave it behind? We'll help you. And of course, that goes back to Bill C-4, where we're not allowed to help anybody if they want to change. And then we got into the whole gender ideology and transgender there. And so now we're seeing young mostly not adolescents, but young adults who've transitioned, going, "Oh my goodness, nobody told me that."
So
what
you know
this
how
was gonna cause.
you know how Bill C-4 says we're not allowed to help? What happens when the person or the individual says, I want help?
But that's still, Brad, we could go to jail. And that's, I mean, I fought. There were several of us, you know, really fighting that bill throughout Canada and various places. And some people might remember Derek Sloan. He was very prominent in this.
We know Derek, yeah. He's been on the show before.
Yeah, a great guy. And he got booted out of the Conservative Party, right?
Yeah, but the right morals and ethics, you know, the right guy to do
saying,
the job. But
hey, this is wrong. And endorsing. And then, of course, the whole Conservative Party, whether they were coerced into it or not, all voted for Bill C-4, and then they celebrated in the House. And I'm telling you, I had such pain, literal pain in my heart, because I thought they're sacrificing minors. Forget about the adults. It's bad enough with the adults, but they're sacrificing children on the altar of LGBTQ, and the parliamentarians are celebrating it. What is wrong? So we need a truth culture to come forward, and so that's kind of why we do what we do, Brad.
100%. So there's another great story that came out yesterday from Ronnie Herman. Mm-hmm. That's Truth for. Do you know her title, Ronnie's?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I just see Ronnie.
I do too.
Yeah.
But she came out with this one yesterday. This is updated. This. Pardon me, I'm on the wrong one here. I better just switch this to.
I think that's it, isn't it?
I think it's this one right here. No.
No, it's that one. It's the other one you had, I think, Brad.
Oh, it's this first one actually. This is the one.
There's
we
too
want.
many
There's
stories.
too many.
This isn't this?
This is
a
what's going on.
continual saga, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
here we
right.
have this. Yeah. Read it out.
Basically, Cincinnati Children's Hospital doctor federally charged with possessing over 153,000 images and 470 videos of child sexual abuse and victims as young as newborns, Dr. Ann. That is disgusting, and I can't believe I even have to say that on this program.
Well, and Brad, this is a whole other issue in the whole sex trafficking saga, which just breaks my heart, because children are now being born to surrogate mothers who, it's actually like child slavery. They're being sold on the open market.
And what are they doing with
these
kids?
babies? I'm not saying every surrogate. Well, a lot of them are being, a lot of them are ending up in homosexual
relationships,
homes and relationships. And this isn't about every homosexual man violating a child. It is about what's coming out in the media. Even mainstream media has been reporting on this quite a bit, and a lot of them, it's just horrific.
You call it reporting, I call it normalizing.
Yeah, although there's been a few lately in Britain that...
England's stepped up.
Not Canada, no.
No, not Canada.
Oh, no.
That's exactly right.
That's why the difference. But, I mean, actual reporting that babies are not only being sexually violated, babies, but murdered. And so, you see, once you begin down a deviant path, what's the final outcome? Like anything, remember the words, too much is not enough. That's part of the homosexual manifesto. Too much is not enough. What institutes too much?
You can say that about drugs, alcohol, and sex, right?
Exactly.
Anything that's deviant. It sounds like the devil's coming into our lives.
The devil has been on a rampage, and it's about time we took our stand.
So, here in Canada, Jamie Sarkanak, non-citizen, shouldn't get sentence discounts for their crimes. Sexual crimes, deviant crimes.
Yeah.
Canadian judge spares immigrant conviction over child exploitation because it could delay his citizenship. Making this judge famous is not something I want to do, but you know what? There he is. That's who it is. That's the guy.
This makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
Delay his citizenship? Are you kidding me?
Yep. He shouldn't even be a citizen. He should be deported right now.
Deport him immediately. He is a threat to our society. And people, I talk to, they hate Trump. And I'm going, okay.
You can't pick anybody else to hate?
Man, get over it. Because his policies are protecting children.
I can think of 1,000 other people to hate other than Donald Trump at this moment, based on the ideology alone.
Well, what what we should be hating is child sexual abuse and those who abuse them. We need to hold them all accountable.
Lock them up.
Yes. Well, other people have other ideas.
Oh, I do too, but
and I'm not endorsing that kind of stuff.
abound.
But let's face it, these are mature men who have
like this
places of position, right?
Like this native chief from this Tsunami Nation, charged in historical Edmonton sexual assault cases. The Edmonton Police Service charged him with Roy Albert Whitney in connection with 2 historical sexual assaults dating back to 1994 and 2005. How many more has he committed between that time?
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
What we know, and this is maybe adult sexual assault, we don't know. And so when you're talking about reconstructing language, sexual assault used to be identified. It was molesting. It was rape.
Yep,
it was everything else in between was identified. It wasn't all grouped into this one word. Like, what is sexual assault? What does that mean? Did he just touch somebody, on the shoulder and they were offended? Or did he rape them? We have to come back to common sense basics and come back to the right language.
The definition needs to be narrowed, and it needs to be focused, and there needs to be no more playing of the definition of the words. That's correct.
No more playing games. But look at all of these people that you have up on the screen are people in places of leadership and position. They are in a place where children particularly would and their parents would tend to trust these people, just like with our teachers in the education system.
Right.
And there are a lot of teachers that have sexually abused. And so we talk about, churches. Well, let's look in our own backyard in the education system and look at these people.
I'll bring up this last story right here,
Yeah.
which is, again, staying with what you're talking about. But this individual right here, Premier of British Columbia,
Yeah.
is falling right in line with the whole ideology thing. He's pushing it. He's supporting it.
Yeah.
He's there at the parades. He's probably got kids who are involved in it too, just like Mark Carney does, whose daughter has been to
100,000 attendees. When Pride started, Pride Parade started in San Francisco. I mean, there was uproar, there was a backlash because people were at that point in time still, and I think that was in the early 80s. I have it somewhere. But people were resisting this being called normal. Now, because the strategy has been not just for LGBT, but to encourage others to become allies. We're called allies, so that we will support this kind of thing. And so then we have families and people, and it's all done under the guise of compassion. Mm-hmm. Well, you can love someone. Let me tell you, Brad, you can love someone and not agree with them. You don't have to support their ideas or their behavior. You can still love them. But we don't want to hear, especially the LGBTQ doesn't want to hear that. Oh, you don't love us if you don't come out and totally.
If I'm supportive, do I have a mental health problem?
If you're supportive?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You have to think that through. Well, you have an indoctrination problem.
I know that. There's no way they're getting through to me.
but really, and that's over the decades what we've seen now. 100,000 people, and a lot of them are children who should never be exposed. Last year, I was sent a picture of in the Toronto Pride Parade, and there were a couple older homosexual men standing kind of off to the side, naked, totally naked, as young children were going by them, and they had erections. Like, this is sick. This is a sick society, and the parents were walking with their children. The parents are sick.
Yeah,
to allow this. This is I would say sin sick, because we've thrown that word out along with the Bible out of school, and we're sure reaping the repercussions.
One of the words that I continue to remember from all of this is Transhausen syndrome. And when we talk about Transhausen syndrome, that's one of those things where Munchausen, that's right. Everybody gets together and they all think that one says something, and then they all got to agree because it's just part of the thing. It's almost like keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it?
Mass psychosis, right?
Mass psychosis, that's right.
Yeah. Well, Brad, it's quite and I'm chuckling, and I'm not really chuckling. I'm thankful to be here with you. Thankful that you're exposing these things. So
this is probably the statement that we're not allowed to say, but at some of the point in my life, I know it needs to be said. And, if speaking out feels dangerous now, imagine how much worse it's going to get if we stay silent. It breaks my heart, brings tears to my eyes, because this isn't adults, this is kids. And children deserve better.
They deserve a lot better, Brad.
Well, we couldn't have done this without you today. I thank you very much for coming in the studio. I'm really happy that you traveled this far to say hello and stop in and meet the family and get a chance to sit down face to face and have this wonderful interview. I know that our viewers are going to get a lot out of it because you bring a wealth of knowledge, as I said at the beginning, but as you make your way west, you've done that all summer long. You've been back and forth on planes, off planes, transit. You've taken your own vehicles. Your husband's driving today. You're on your way to Saskatchewan for a great conference. Lots to cover there, I'm sure, over the next couple of days. But as you go forward, I know you won't quit the fight. I know that you're there for the long haul, and I truly appreciate that. That for me and everybody else out there, we can't do it without people like you. You bring the experience, the expertise, the knowledge, the foundation to say no, the foundation to stand up, and the guts and the courage to say, it will not happen on my watch today.
Well, there's times where I'm thinking, do I have the stamina to keep going? But
Well,
like
that's
you
the
said,
thing,
I have
that's
to
the
learn. I have to pace myself. But at the same time, you're right, Brad. I just, if we don't speak out now, how much worse is it going to get? Well, I think you can see the trajectory, and that is what, but for the grace of God would keep me up every single night, sleepless, and
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And that passion, that drive, that commitment to educate, to give people the understanding of what's really going on in this world has been outstanding. You're a true leader. If I could say Dr. Ann for Prime Minister, I would.
Oh, please! I know someone
I'm
else
just
I would vote for in a heartbeat, but Prime Minister, no. I don't have the political background, but you know what? We do need people in all walks of life, all professions, who know truth.
That's right.
That they would come.
Take a chance and speak truth.
Speak it out. Speak truth, even if it's just to your neighbor. But start re-educating people.
A lot of
in
Canadians
truth.
the other day saw the guy take the $28,000 fine for standing in the bush.
And they're questioning, aren't they?
Oh yeah. So they go and they revamp it the day after and say, "Oh, we're sorry, we didn't mean that." But you know what? They do mean it, and they're trying to make that happen. And as they try to shut people down, people like that gentleman who stood up that day and said, "I will not take no today."
Jeff Everly.
Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
He balls of steel, as I say, and doing the right thing for Canadians. And Canadians, I think, need that wake-up call.
Yes.
I thought the trans movement was going to initiate that calling, but it didn't. And I guess seeing a forest fire and a ban on walking in the woods do it is kind of I'm going, what happened here?
Well, that's it. Honestly, remember?
Yeah.
I see nothing.
Yep,
Colonel Klink.
Colonel Klink.
People know how old I am now.
Hogan's Heroes.
But it's very true, and we need people to open their eyes and start thinking critically. Why? Ask the question. Why would they make it illegal and a $28,000 fine to take a hike in the bush? This isn't about someone starting a fire. These are families taking a hike. This is about, if you want to stop forest fires, get the arsonists, who are starting the fires, not the general public. So anyways,
ask yourself why they're allowing people like that to walk down the street in that kind of clothing and dress. That's what you should be asking yourself. And ask yourself if that's what you want in front of your kids.
Brad, just looking at that, and we need to finish up, but looking at that picture and thinking, ask yourself, where were we at? Like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we wouldn't even show that on any kind of national TV and publication, and not a podcast. I mean, people have lost their sensitivity to just normal decency, and so I hate that kind of stuff. I want to close my eyes. Who wants to see it? But
it's all good.
Anyways,
well,
thank you very much.
I thank you very much. This has been educational, and like the thing that you just said at the end, and that's the key point here for people going forward in Canada. You need to ask questions. You need to start questioning. And then you need to not listen to what the government is telling you is the right answer, because it's really the wrong answer. There are other answers out there. Yeah. Search for them, find them, dig yourself deep, and get into it. Because I tell you what, the rabbit hole isn't just a tiny little hole. It's a very deep hole that unfortunately is sucking up our children into it.
Absolutely.
And our decency and morals and ethics and just common sense. So as Canadians move forward, where can they find you? How can they find your books? Let's talk about that quickly before we go, because that's important.
So my website's called restoringthemosaic.ca, so you can find lots of information, lots of videos. My books are available through Amazon. You just click a link and you can get them. So I have several books. The latest book I had is Ultimate Deception, The Truth of Gender-Affirming Care. So this is from a research perspective. Right. So those individuals, parents particularly, who are hearing their children say strange things to them, need to get the facts, the real facts. And we need to grow some backbone. We need to protect our children.
We sure do. Absolutely. Well, thank you again for stopping in here in Manitoba. You're in the heart of the country.
Heart of the country. As I travel through, I thought it was
you went past the center of Canada?
Yeah.
Did you stop?
We didn't.
No, on your way back then, maybe.
Hopefully we will, because it's on that side of the road going back.
That's right. You make sure you let them know that your foot is on the western side of the line, okay?
Listen, one more thing.
Yeah.
So my husband just found out that what's the, oh my goodness, my brain.
It's okay.
Highest point in, like...
the world?
Canada,
Mount Everest?
Canada. What's it called? Oh, my brain just went. Dear.
You're talking about Alberta's mountains?
No, I'm talking about Yukon, Alaska.
Yellowknife, Northwest Territories,
okay.
Dawson Creek.
I'll put in a comment later. It's 7 hours from where we're going to be visiting our son. It's on top of the Arctic or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Arctic Circle. That's it.
The Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
Are you going up that far?
Oh, well, it's another 7 hours, and after we've traveled for about 6 days, what's another 7 hours each way? I don't know. But it would be nice to have a picture up there.
You're going to the top of the world.
Yeah, top of the world.
You'll be able to touch Russia.
We'll be on the top of the world highway, so yeah. Anyways.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome.
Anyways, okay.
Well, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you very much for being here. We really do appreciate you spending the last hour and a bit with us. You can find all of our episodes on wakeupcanadanews.com. You're on Rumble, BitChute, X, Facebook. You can also look me up under Brad Wilder on Facebook as well and find every single episode that we've got. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks, Dr. Ann. Take care, everybody. Remember, it's not our kids' fight. It's our fight. We'll see you next time.